Good day and welcome back to another World of Warcraft video. In this video we're going to discuss the Yskera Vault, some tips, tricks, and covering everything you need to know about the Yskera Vault so that you can reap the best rewards, but also in the most efficient manner possible. So the Yskera Vaults can be found in the Forbidden Reach, and if you need to know how to unlock it, you can see my video in the top right hand corner, which goes about the process of unlocking the Yskera Vaults in regards to the Onyx Amulet. But the basics of the Yskera Vault are as follows. You will use Yskera Vault keys, which you can obtain from world rares and chests that you find around the Forbidden Reach, and use them to open the doors. Again, if you need to know how to find the keys, I'll leave the link to the same video with the Onyx Amulet as I cover there in a bit more detail how to get them. Once you open the door, you will be faced with either a puzzle, a monster, or just a room filled with chests. And from those chests you can find primordial stones, primordial stone fragments, or other items that can be used both for pets, rares, toys, and even solving puzzles in the other rooms. So let's talk first about traversing the vaults, because making your way across the vaults is going to be the most important part. So the first important aspect you're going to need is for the second floor. The ground floor is pretty accessible to all characters, but the second floor, each door, second, third, and fourth floor, has a little gap between the doors. To traverse this gap, if you're not a class that has the required mobility, you're going to need to open the door right next to the spider's web, and you will have access to a wind potion. The Weirwood Wind Potion. This will allow you to push yourself across the gap between the floors. There's also a nice handy quest there for 3 Yskera Vault keys. But basically, once you get this, you should be able to easily traverse and make your way across the gaps as easily as possible. If you are a character that can traverse these gaps, you still want to open the door anyway, because it's basically trading 1 key for 3 keys. So there you go. Still incentive to open that door regardless. The next item that you're going to need to traverse the vaults can be found on the second floor as well, and it's in this chamber with the statue of the spellcaster, which is roughly 2 doors to the right of where you found the Wayward Winds. This will give you a teleport scroll which will randomly teleport you anywhere in the vault, but that also includes the 3rd and 4th floors. Now the Yskera Vaults has a max of 4 floors, and you can find a handy quest here on the 3rd floor that will ask you to find a bunch of primordial ores from some units or enemies within the primordial vaults. So I suggest grabbing this quest early on as well. Let's talk solving puzzles. Solving puzzles can be very easy, such as equipping a flame ward and walking onto a flame floor, or they can be quite difficult that involve maneuvering between several rooms. A lot of the ones you find early on will revolve around you requiring to use 1 item from a room on the same floor to solve a problem on the same floor. For example, wearing the flame ward to access the flame chest. The next stage of puzzles will be ones that require you to gain items from certain rooms and to move back to ones on lower floors. For example, if you go to the 3rd floor, you can find a empty obsidian vial, fill it up with restorative waters, and then you can fill up the fish tank on the 2nd floor and get your hands on a fish pet. Not all puzzles that you solve give you primordial stones. Some of them will only give you pets or rare toys, but it's still pretty worth it. A lot of the issues that you face with puzzles can be solved with rooms that are on later floors. So if it looks like you can't solve the puzzle right now, go open up some more rooms and you should be able to solve them. And the final style of puzzle that you'll face is a minigame puzzle. Minigame puzzles can be found and will usually be solved within the same room. Not to mention also to keep your eye out by the entrance to rooms, as you can find chains. These chains will lower chests that are in a room later on that you can find within the Yskera Vaults. So obviously there is a pretty big incentive across the board for doing this content, and it's pretty good for you to get involved in completing this content, because it will enable you to get a large amount of rewards, mainly being the primordial stones, but a whole bunch of pets and other great rewards. So finally, what else do you need to know about the Yskera Vaults? Well, as mentioned before, there are 4 floors and there's roughly 8 to 7 doors on each floor, which means in total there's around 32 rooms to open during the course of a week. Each week's rooms are completely randomized. You will not have the same rooms each week as you did the week before, and we should get different puzzles, different rewards, and obviously refresh chests. These chests will reopen and the Yskera Vaults will refresh on the Wednesday of every week. Every time you enter the vaults after exiting, you are going to have to re-get the winds and the teleportation scrolls. This means that it makes it a little bit pointless to keep entering the vaults with just a single key, so I suggest that you grab at least 5 or 6 keys, or at least enough to complete a floor, so that you can enter in and it's not like a complete waste of your time. You're constantly having to re-access the winds, constantly having to regain the teleport scroll can be time consuming. Beyond that, of course, there are the big rewards of Primordial stones, but there's quite a few other rewards you can get as well. You can get very rare tokens that allow you to trade in for various prizes and other rewards from a vendor within the Forbidden Reach. And not only that, but you can also grab quite a few pets and toys along the way as well. Just during the course of this first week, I have already grabbed 3 pets, which is pretty interesting, and I've only just managed to start finishing the final floor. So there's definitely big incentive for doing a lot of the content within the Yskera Vaults and getting involved within it. Beyond that as well, to be honest with you, the Primordial stones and the Annex amulet are great, and they're going to help players who are looking to close out some of their high level content for this season of Dragonflight. But it's important to take note that the Onyx amulet, thank you very much, is not going to be a meta item for the next season of Dragonflight. So if you are someone who's interested in using it to maximize your power, it's best that you use it now and try to max it out now so that you can have an easier time running your content and getting access to pretty good rewards. I will be doing a video about what the best Primordial stones are for each class, or at least a good coverage of the basic stones that you need in another video. But with that being said, I think we've covered pretty well everything you need to know about the Yskera Vaults. So if you are someone who's very interested in joining or going into the Yskera Vaults, I highly suggest you do so. But beyond that, there's not too much else. The enemies in here are not too difficult, so don't be too scared to need to have super high item level. And if you're stuck at a puzzle, like I said, always look to go on to the next floor. It's probably where your solution is, or another room on the same floor. Beyond that, honestly, there's not too much else that you need to know. Everything else is pretty straightforward, and players should have a pretty decent time with all of this content. So, from that perspective, I just wanted to say I thank you guys very, very much for watching this video. If you're someone who's super interested in finding out more or is more interested in the process for the Onyx amulet, I have a video on that in the top right hand corner. But if you have any comments and queries, please put them down below, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.